गया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So we are continuing our study, Canto 10 of Srīmad Bhāgavatam, the Samam Bonam, chapter 14, Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna, and verse number 58. As we discussed before, that verse number 58 is a very important verse. So we will. Yesterday, Viraj Krishna Prabhu gave us a bit of a, just a little glimpse of what this verse can explain us. So we will continue our discussion today. Now we can see from this chapter, and especially this verse, we hear that Srila Sridhar Swami, he says that this verse summarizes the knowledge presented in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Any lila which happens, and then at the end there is one or two verses which actually summarizes the whole mood, the whole theme of the pastime. So I hope you are, during the time in the day, you're trying to memorize this verse. Samashritaye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam budhirvats padam param padam 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 yad vipadam natesham. For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon. The ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Their goal is Parampadam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. For example, Brisbane. Danger at every step, even though we might not realize it. So this is, of course, the benchmark we want to achieve. We want to accept the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord. And we also want to understand that He is the only shelter of the cosmic manifestation. And He is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon. Krishna, as you know, is also called Kansari, the enemy of Kansa demon. It's called Keshava, the killer of the Keshi demon. So many names are given where Krishna's pastimes are also described. But actually, think about it. Do we really think that this material world, the pleasure we get, or the difficulties we have, is a very small thing? It says the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. So someone who takes the shelter of the Lord, for him to cross over this ocean is like as easy as crossing over a calf's hoof print. But then do we really are keen? Are we really inclined to understand even that this material world is not a place for, as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, for ladies and gentlemen? When we reflect on this pastime, there are quite a few lessons which Brahmaji is teaching us. First, when we memorize that verse, Tatte Anukampam Susamikshemano, there we learn the tolerance, that whatever difficulties we go through, we tolerate those difficulties, and we still continue worshipping the Lord. We pay our respectful obeisance to the Lord with our Rit Vag Vapurbhir. With our heart, with our words, and with our body, we keep on offering respectful obeisances to the Lord. We keep on worshipping the Lord in spite of going through all the difficulties. Actually, Kunti Maharani in the first canto, she prays very nicely, and this prayer actually is very apt for people like us who are living in a nice country with a nice house, nice car, nice job, nice family. Everything we've got very nice. And I remember when we joined ISKCON in 1996, it was a time when a lot of the Australian brahmacharis were there, hardly any Indians were there, and no one ever thought of like owning a house or owning a car, or they just wanted to give their lives to Krishna. And in the Mangala Aarti, you can see, like, he can describe it as an ocean of saffron. There were 25, 30 brahmacharis in one small room of the temple hall. So Kunti Maharani actually prays, Janma Aishwarya Shrutashi Bhir Edamana Madhapaman Naibharati Abhidatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. She says that who can approach the Lord? He says, the Lord can be easily approached, but by those who are materially exhausted, not for people like me who are after the material opulences one after the other. So when we are materially exhausted, what happens is, because we have no other shelter, we have to, with this knowledge, take the only shelter which we have is the lotus feet of Mukunda, lotus feet of Murari. So Kunti Maharani says, Jan Aishwarya Shruti Shribhir. Janma means high parentage, high birth, Aishwarya, opulence, Shruta, education, Shri, possession of beauty. So these are the four items which are actually obstacles to our devotional service. But because in the inverted commas, balancing material and spiritual life, we spend a lot of time on obtaining these things: high parentage, Aishwarya, Shruta, education, Shribhir, beauty. But what does these things do? Kunti Maharani says that Edamana Madhapaman. Progressively, it increases our mother intoxication, our pride, when we are involved in growing these things. But Kunti Maharani says that one who is involved in that, hardly they can approach the Lord. But one who is materially exhausted, when we understand, and that's why Krishna says, Harishya Dhanam Shane, that if Krishna understands that the opulence or the dhana is coming in between the devotee and him, he will gradually take away his opulence. Why gradually? Because Krishna, if suddenly takes away the opulence and the devotee cannot, tolerate the shock, he might completely go away. So Krishna gradually takes away the opulences. So for us to understand the verse which we are discussing now, we have to also understand our current position and the teachings which Brahmaji is giving us. So in the 8th verse of this chapter, we hear Brahmaji saying that we have to tolerate the difficulties we go through, and also with our Hridvag Vapu, with our heart, with our words, and with our body, we have to worship Krishna, we have to pay our respectful obeisances. Then going forward, what does Brahmaji say? In the verse where he says, okay, people can say that I know everything about Krishna. Let them think that way. So here Brahmaji is expressing his humility. So after teaching us tolerance, he's teaching us humility. Brahma says, as far as I am concerned, I do not wish to speak very much about this matter. Let me just say this much, my Lord, that as far as your opulences are concerned, they are all beyond the reach of my mind, body, and words. And we know that no one can understand Krishna fully. So Brahmaji says here, Jananta eva janantu kim bahu uktya name prabho, bahu uktya, with many, many words. Even if I use many words, or if people are using many words, name prabho, we cannot know Krishna, we cannot know him. Manaso vapuso vacho, vaibhavam tava gocharaha. Again, gochara means within the range. Gochara also means, to herd the cows, but again within the range. And Kunti Maharani says, Tam Tvam Akinchana Gochara, that you are the shelter of the people who are materially exhausted. So Gochara has got many meanings, but similar meanings. So in this verse, Brahmaji is expressing his humility and teaching us humility. So he's teaching us tolerance, he's teaching us humility, and in this verse, the verse number 58, he's actually giving us the essence. Sukadeva Goswami is giving us the essence that we must always, with these qualities being developed, understand that whatever opulence is been given to us by Krishna, we should be using it, as Rupa Goswami gave us a nice phrase, Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means Yukta and Vairagya are two opposite terms. Actually, in the proper sense, they are not opposing terms, because Vairagya, as we've heard before, Vairagya doesn't mean only detachment. The word Vairagya means, it comes from Vishesha Raga. Vishesha Raga means special attachment. So when we have special attachment towards the Lord, everything what we have in our possession, our skills, our possession, our position, our power, our property, everything we'll use it in proper service of Krishna. So this is called Yukta Vairagya. And Brahmaji and Sukadeva Goswami here, they are also telling us that yes, we have to understand that this material world, if we take shelter of Krishna, but first of all, we have to understand that whatever possessions we are having, whatever life we are having in this human body is very temporary, and that our goal should not be to accumulate more and more and more here. Why? Because this is a place where there is danger at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. There's a danger at every step. Anything can happen, and we see around us not only what we hear in the news, but with people around us also, things just happen suddenly. So we should be aware, as they say, a sadhu, a saintly person, never dies suddenly. A saintly person never dies suddenly. Of course, we've heard that death comes suddenly, without any intimation. Death will just suddenly come when the time is up and take us away. But it is said that a saintly person never dies suddenly. Why? Because he's always preparing himself for death by remembering the lotus feet of Krishna, by understanding padam padam yad vipadam natesham, that there is danger at every step, and I should take the shelter of the lotus feet of Murari, the slayer of the Mura demon. So how can we do that again? Yes, we want to be detached with what we have. If we use it in Krishna service as much as possible, as many times as possible, meditate on how devotees can help us in using our possessions in Krishna's service, then we'll be more and more attached to Krishna. So when we are attached to Krishna, we will, as they say, you pay attention to the detail, attraction comes, and from attraction, attachment comes. So here, Sanatan Goswami, Sridhar Swami is saying that this is the essence of this knowledge given in this section. And then he describes the Krishna's lotus feet are as pallava, as flower buds. Prabhupada's personal servants also used to describe Prabhupada's lotus feet, because they were actually very, very pinkish. Even though he traveled so much, but Prabhupada's body was completely transcendental. So Krishna's lotus feet are described as pallava, flower birds, because they're most tender and has a pinkish hue. And Sanatan Goswami interestingly says pallava also indicates that Krishna's lotus feet are just like desire trees, which can fulfill all the desires of the Lord's pure devotees. So even when we desire something from Krishna, we should be very careful that I am not desiring something which is material, but I want to use whatever material possessions I have in your service. At the same time, I want to desire something which is helping in progressing in my spiritual life. Very interesting statement comes after that even exalted devotees like Sri Narad, who are themselves the great shelter for the conditioned souls in this universe, personally take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So when devotees like Narada, Hanuman, they take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, we must also take shelter of those people. We always recite this verse, Durgame pathi me andasya skhalat pad gatir muhur yat kripa asti danena. So it says our path is filled with thorns and stones, and I'm slipping again and again. But the only hope I have is the stick of the mercy of the saintly persons. Yat kripa asti danena. Asti means it's a stick. Uh, when we hold onto the stick of the mercy stick of the Vaishnavas, we are safe, even though the path is very dangerous. And Krishna says, of course, that those who claim to be my devotees are not my devotees, but those who claim to be devotees of my devotees are actually my devotees. So then the purport ends by saying that because when Krishna manifested as young boys and calves, the parents were more attracted to them than previously because they could take shelter of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna is the Akhila Rasamrita Murti, is the reservoir of all pleasure and being all attractive, the ultimate object of everyone's love. Yes, we can keep on speaking, and this is, as we know, we can keep on hearing about Krishna, and that purifies our heart. Keshav Maharaj interestingly gives us a very interesting take on why our progress in Krishna consciousness is slow. When we do some introspection, we can see that normally they say if you are in a study group like a Bhakti Rickshaw or a Bhagavad Gita study group, whatever it is, within 1 year you should be chanting 16 rounds. But most of us, even when we are associated with the pure movement like Krishna consciousness, we still are taking our own time. Why is that so? Because we cannot overcome the temptation of the material world. Let's be honest. Let's be very honest with ourselves. One sign of humility or one sign of humanity, yes, it is said that introspect and be honest. Humility means to introspect and to be honest. So when we are introspecting the deepest core of our hearts, when we are going through that and we are being honest with ourselves, we can see that we are still tempted with so many temptations in the material world. The famous British writer Oscar Wilde, he said, I can resist everything except temptation. I can resist everything except temptation. And we see in this material world, even when we are hearing this sublime, timeless knowledge of Srīmad Bhāgavatam every day, the moment we get out, there's temptation happening. There are billboards there, there are advertisements there on the phone. You are hearing a class on YouTube, in between the ads will come. So Oscar Wilde said, I can resist everything except temptation. And it's as he says, it's a great art of life. Don't give up what you want most for what feels good now. And this is the temptation. He says, something feels good now. If I buy this, if I experience this, if I go out and eat this, if I enjoy this, I feel good now. But what do we really want most? Do we really want to take the shelter of the lotus feet, Pallava, like lotus feet of Murari? Then we have to overcome this temptation. And as Keshav Maharaj says, this will cost you. Cost is C-O-S-T. We have to be convinced, C for conviction, we have to be convinced that what we are trying to achieve requires certain discipline and self-restraint. So this is at the intellectual level, we understand that yes, if I think that I need to achieve this, I need to be disciplined and I need to restrain myself from these temptations. We understand that intelligence and clarity create immunity and inner strength. When we are intelligent enough to understand that I don't want to be tempted by the material allurements, but I want to achieve this goal of Krishna's lotus feet, that's clear. We use our intelligence, and when we use our intelligence and clarity, This creates immunity from the outside world. We create a shelter by practicing our sadhana. We create a shield by practicing our sadhana. So this creates immunity and our inner strength. So C for conviction, O for openness. We have to be open in our introspection. And regardless of whether, I am successful now or failure now, I've been practicing for 25, 27 years. And, if you ask a devotee who has been practicing for a long time, they will also say, yes, there is some success which Krishna has given, but there's a lot of failures also. As we see that, someone who's successful, not many people know how many failures they have gone through in their lives. But if you're open to a devotee, to a senior devotee, to a friend, and seek their advice, they seek their support, seek their guidance, seek their feedback. As they say, we heard before, feedback is a breakfast for champions. So if you want to become champion, we should be open and accept feedback. Feedback is the one, and genuine feedback, if it's a genuinely constructive, but a little, ego hurting feedback, then we want to again go back into our own shells. But we shouldn't do that. We should be open. So openness what will we do? Actually, openness and honesty will grow our character, and it will give us integrity. That yes, whoever I am, in old computer terms, when computer started, there was a term called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So as devotees, we should be like WYSIWYG, not that, I wear my nice dhoti kurta tilak in programs, and then, when I'm on my own, I behave completely differently. No. Openness with ourselves and with others actually will grow our character and also develop integrity. And beyond the intellectual level, this actually strengthens us in our relationship level. We can have open and honest relationship with the devotees. So cost means C for conviction, O for openness, S for safety. Safety means we have to first make ourselves safe. As they say in the airplane, that when oxygen level drops, put the mask on yourself first and then put the mask on others. So we should avoid provoking situations. We should, when our mind is going towards that, sometimes we want to give feedback, we want to give opinion, saying that, no, I'm just honestly telling you that, yes, this is what it is. But that we have to understand is just your opinion. It's not the fact. It might not be the fact. And sometimes giving honest opinion also might hurt other people. So we have to avoid provoking situations, create a safety net for us and people around us. Even if people are compromising our principles, sometimes we should not fight battles which we don't need to. As they say, in situations which are not the best, observe but don't talk. Observe but don't talk. So we observe the situation, we don't do anything which is provoking, and on a practical level, if we reorganize ourselves, if we reorganize our lives, strength will come from there, safety will come from there. So conviction, openness, safety, and the last one is taste. So we have to work hard to experience a better life, a better taste. As Krishna says in 249 in Bhagavad Gita, 259, sorry, Param Drishtva Nivartante, that, when normally our senses want to taste, lower objects. But when we give the senses a higher taste by experiencing a higher taste of Krishna consciousness, by understanding that if we give up the temptation now for what we want most, we will actually experience a higher taste and the lower taste will automatically go away. So what we should understand is that when we want to experience a better life in Krishna consciousness, we have to work hard. We have to solidify our resolve by understanding the benefits of our discipline, of our sadhana, of our restraint. And what we should do is, on the other side, saturate our consciousness in something which is more progressive, which is more pure, and which is uplifting. So this is at the spiritual level. So we can avoid the temptation by paying a cost of conviction, openness, safety, and taste. And at intellectual level, at relationship level, at practical level, and at spiritual level, then we will experience the transition from the material miseries of this material world to the spiritual world. So the goal is Parampadam Vaikuntha. Any question from this verse? Any comments and realization? I had to practice what Prabhupada says, that a devotee should know the scriptures like a lawyer knows his handbook. When I was told by Viraj Krishna Prabhu just about 10 minutes ago that I have to give a class, then I thought, what am I going to speak on this verse? And Prabhupada said that devotee should be ready to preach at a moment's notice. So please forgive me if something doesn't make sense or if I'm speaking something which is incoherent, but I'm trying my best to share something which is very deep at a moment's notice. So please forgive me if I've just touched the surface, so to say. Let's go to verse 59. Does anyone want to recite the verse, please? Please unmute yourself.
एतत्ते सर्वम् अख्यातं यत् पश्यतो हम इहा त्वा कत् कौमारे हरि कृतं पौगंदे परिकृतितम्.
Thank you, Prabhu. Etate sarvamakhyatam yat prishtoham iha tvaya tat kaumare hari kritam paugande parakirtitam. Such a nice words again. Etat, this, te, unto you, sarvam, all, akhyatam, described, yat, which, prishtaha, requested, aham, I, iha, in this regard, tvaya, by you, tat, that, kaumare, in his early childhood up to the end of his 5th year, Hari Kritam, performed by Lord Hari, Paugande, in later childhood, beginning with his 6th year, Parikirtitam, glorified. Translation. So Sukdev Goswami is speaking this verse. Since you inquired from me, I have fully described to you those activities of Lord Hari that were performed in his 5th year, but not celebrated until his 6th. So we know Krishna, his Leela is divided into three phases of life: Kaumar, Paugand, and Kaishor. So Kaumar is up to 5 years, 6 to 10 or 11 is Paugand, and 11 to 16 is Kishore Avastha. And these three, of course, normally you'd think that the Bal Leela up to 5 years is the best, the sweetest. But our Acharya has also described that is the Kaishore Leela, his Leela from 11 to 16, especially his pastimes with Gopas and Gopis. They are just amazing pastimes and they are the sweetest of all. So Sukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, okay, you asked me a question and I have described to you those activities that were performed in the 5th year but not celebrated until the 6th because of the Yogamaya potency of Krishna. The Brijvasis did not know, and the cowherd, the vats, the cowherd boys and the calves also did not know that one whole year had passed under the potency of Krishna's Yogamaya. So we'll stop here. It's 7 o'clock. Any questions or comments, reflections, challenges? Please unmute yourself and yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Even though you had a few moments to prepare yourself, the session was really good today. You have explained quite a lot. Thank you so much.
That is your magnanimity, Prabhu. And please pass our best wishes on Nitya's birthday today. All the best from us. Best wishes for a wonderful devotional life.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Any questions from this verse or the previous verses? Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Granth Raj Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Have a very wonderful Krishna conscious day, and Krishna willing, we will see you tomorrow morning.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
एक golden color
you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.